Good morning. Grow your strength. We're just going to take another minute or two to roll out. I've actually already rolled my back this morning, so I'm going to go back to the quads with the stick. And I'm kind of feel like I'm settling into some new programming time because I've returned from my course, internal strength model with the functional range systems. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of the learning and the little cueing and bits that I've picked up with this course, and hopefully it'll just make us all get more effective quality out of our training time. The magic is in the consistency. We knew that already, but never hurts to be reminded. I think Dr. Spina, Andrew Spina, is from Toronto, and he was the instructor of this course. And he thinks that overall we spend a lot of time on volume of training and not on the nuances of the things that we can do to improve the quality of movements that we know are good for humans. But a lot of times people hurt themselves while they're trying to get fit. That's a good point. Okay, so I'm going to take my breathing to a face up position this morning and just settle into my posture. Take some time to micro adjust the position of your head, rolling your head a little left and right. Legs can be straight or knees can be bent, just anchoring your feet into the floor. Today you could take your hands and just gently lay them below your rib cage. So as you breathe in, you can feel some intra-abdominal expansion. If you can try to breathe in and out through your nose, just slowing down the cadence of your breath, that would be good. For the next few breath cycles, think about breathing into the sides and the back as well, taking some time to slowly fill up in this intra-abdominal cylinder. And as you exhale, just let things recoil. After your next breath cycle, we'll take it to hands and knees, and we'll start to go through some cat-cow cycles, flexion, extension. Okay, so spreading the fingers, distributing the weight through your hands. Just take some time to slowly round the back up. If you want some add-ons, you can tuck your back toes gently and push the hands and knees away from each other. Soften the feet and roll through your spine, dropping the front side down. Bringing the shoulder blades together. Drawing your shoulders away from your ears and looking up. Just taking some time to go through these cycles slowly. Each section of your back gets a little bit of movement. So I suggested with the flexion, you could push your hands and knees away from each other. Try the opposite of that. As you drop the front side down, gently pull the hands and knees towards each other. And just see if that cueing changes what you feel in your body at all. After your next cycle, we'll take it to half kneeling, and we'll start by just leveling out the hips. While I was down in my course, I learned a few new cues for the half kneeling, so I'll review some of that right now. So I've turned to the side so you can just kind of get a sense of what I'm doing. So as I pulse my knee forward over my midfoot, I'm going to try and draw my heel back towards me. So it's just, I'm not actually moving my foot, but I'm just pulling my heel. So that helps me glide my knee a little bit further forward over my ankle, improving my ankle mobility. Before I started the tape, I was talking about creating more workspace in all of our joints. So you want to be having good mobile ankles, so this would be creating workspace in the ankle. After some pulses straight, take your leg out on an angle and try the same thing. Pulling the heel in, sliding against a sticky mat is a nice way to get that connection as you pulse the knee forward. Now, the third part of this, I guess, could be to just walk the foot out a little bit and then slowly sink into it. And instead of pulling it in, think about furniture sliders apart, right? So now I'm pushing my foot away and my knee away, just a gentle sensation. And I get a lot more of a stretch in through the hips, pelvis, and groin area. You guys too? That works, doesn't it? Yeah, that sort of furniture slider. There. Okay, so then before we switch sides, let's bring the foot to a place in front where there's some balance. Now we'll be doing shoulder cars. So both hands to start with, we'll spread the fingers, nice upright posture. And you're just bringing your hands forward, trying not to shrug and staying upright in position. When you get to your sort of sticking point here, I rotate. Then bring your arms back and up into the small of your back, okay? So once you're here, you can just get tall again. I sometimes give my elbows a wiggle and turn the head left and right, just freeing up the neck a little bit, coming back and refinding your posture, and then slowly rewinding the arms. So I bring them back, keeping the fingers spread. So if I'm trying to increase the joint space in my shoulders, I have to go slow because there's just no way I can access that range of motion if I was to go fast. And I'll give you a visual of that as you finish this off. You know, if I went fast, right, I would have to have my arm way out here. Whereas if I go slow, I can get myself there. Okay, so let's switch now. Taking some time to level out the hips. I just kind of stack my rib cage over my hips. And then the first one, we went straight forward, and I gave you the cue of pulling the heel towards you. So you increase that space and that stretch in through the back of the ankle. About 5 is a good number to do. I'm not arching my back as I come forward. I'm just staying upright in posture, getting a stretch in through my quad and hip flexor today. I feel a little bit tighter than usual, so every day seems a little different with your movement map. Bring the leg out to the angle. Same thing, I'm pulling my heel in, getting some good glide through my ankle, staying connected with my toes. If you have very mobile ankles, you can pull your heel in a little bit for that one, so you can go pulse a little further. And then we did the furniture slider, so I brought my foot out, and now I'm pushing away. So foot is sliding away from my knees, from my knee. I like the fancy arm move. What do you think? Let's add it in. Okay, so now we'll come back in front and let's do one arm at a time. So with the shoulder cars, one arm, I just cross one hand across my chest. And this is just a guide to sort of give me a sense of whether I'm rotating. So as I bring my arm up slowly, you can still focus on some nice deep breathing. You don't want to push your arm through any pain. But creating workspace is good for a nice healthy joint that you're going to load, right? So here, little head turn, everything feels pretty good. And then let's slowly rewind that. So this system of joint improvement comes from FRS system, Functional Range Systems. Dr. Smeen is from Toronto. I switch sides. Here we go. Feeling a little bit different from one side to the other. And this kind of work will even it out in time. Hand up the small of the back. Bring up the neck. Good. When you're ready, rewind. Reach, reach, reach. Good. Patient with yourself. We'll return to the all fours position and work on hip mobility with the hip cars, finding a sort of middle ground, neutral back between the flexion and extension. Slowly take one knee off, and we're just going to do one circle around in each direction per side. So focus on maintaining the weight between the hands, equal distribution of your weight, and a little bit of tension through the hip, meaning that if I said stop, you could. 25% sort of tension as you bring your hip into a full circle, and then switch sides. Try to make sure that you stay aligned over your hands. It's easy to weight shift to your non-moving side. Try not to hold your breath. Breathe deep into this as you circle around. From here, we'll go to the 90-90 position, finding yourself in an upright sitting with approximately 90-degree angles through your knees. I use my arms to stay tall in my posture and just lean forward into my front hip, taking some time to change the torso angle. How does it feel when you turn towards your foot versus your calf, middle, or your knee? So in and out for about 10 pulses. Try to keep the back fairly long by using your arms to help support your weight as you go forward. Nice. Before we switch sides, I'm just going to pop down to my elbow. And from here, I'm going to gently work on the internal rotation of my back hip by lifting my foot off the floor. You just want to go slow with these up to about 10. If you want to hold one up and then just take a breath cycle and try to exhale and see if there's any more range that you can access. Coming to your elbow usually gives you a little bit more freedom to move through this. So I'm just not in a shrug position, working on hip internal rotation. Coming over to the other side, I'm going to try some hands-free work by just kind of walking through the hips, and then we're resetting the 90-90 position and doing the 10 pulses to the front hip. So a roadmap of how your hips are feeling today. One of the clients said the hip was feeling a bit cranky, so just trying to take some time to breathe and restore, get that crankiness to go away is a good idea, and I believe this kind of work will do that. So just taking your time, not forcing anything, adding the breath. After 10 pulses, down to the elbow and the internal work on this side. Good. I'm going to take us to our backs and work on some ankles and knee bends today. So We'll lie back. If you like using a stretch strap, then you can loop one around your foot. The non-working leg can be straight or bent. As long as straight feels okay on your back. I'll go a little shorter today, so I'm just going to say about 3 of everything, but make them just so mindful. So 3 knee bends and extends, and then start to work into your end range of your point and flex of your ankle. 3 solid moves to your end range. Here's my ankle inversion and eversion. Sole of the foot rolls in and out with the toes towards the shin. And then try the same thing with your toes pointed to the roof, rolling in and out. Finish with a few circles. I'll do 3 in each direction. What the heck? Spreading those toes. Did you guys just hear that crack? That was my foot. I guess it needed it. Okay, switching sides. All right, I'm so human. Reset the posture, go into the knee bends and extend. You want to have a full extension through the back of your knee, even if you have to back off a little bit, right, to do the ankle work. Holding the leg out, going through the 3 moves again. Point and flex. Rolling the sole of the foot in and out with the toes to the shin and pointed. And those 3 circles in each direction, keeping the leg as still as possible. Nice. Taking the band to the hands now, I'm going to work on finding a width that I can get my arms overhead, sinking into my shoulder complex on each side, bringing the band all the way back over to the hips. You can keep the legs extended out for this. You could even bring your toes up to the roof. If this doesn't feel okay on the back, then just go ahead and bend the knees. So we'll go into some bridges now. So if you would like to take the band across the crease of the hips and bridge into the resistance, I've just got my hands anchored on the floor. This is a nice option, but if it feels like too much for you, then just put the band to the side. You want to make sure that you align your posture from your low back, so there's a decrease of the curve, especially if you have a big low back curve. Chin's tucked. I'm coming up, connecting with my feet, fully extending my hip, and coming back down. About 12 of those. Just taking your time to come up, activate the hips, down, release the tension, reset, and bridge again. After your bridges, we'll go into a high arm plank. And in this program, I have us doing about a 3 breath hold with different hand and foot widths. So the classic plank would be to have your hands under your shoulders or just a bit wider. But in this class, we've progressed this to trying different hand widths. So I'm bringing my hands a little closer in and my feet a little closer in to start with. Finding a plank position, I step back and activate my hips. Okay, my elbows are not locked out. I'm pushing the floor away. And because you guys are not talking, you can do some nice nasal breathing through your 3 breath cycles. Take a moment to stretch the wrists, deload. And any position works, because the magic is in the variations. For my second one, I'll go hands a little wider and feet a little wider. This should potentially feel a little easier. Wider base of support, but perhaps your shoulders aren't quite used to holding your body weight out this way. So if you find it harder, take a shorter amount of time under tension. And we are doing 3. So mix it up for the last one, perhaps wide hands and narrow feet. Okay, I'm going to take us into a seated band row next. So long seated position, taking a resistance band around the middle of the feet. I'm just rocking on my sit bones to get nice and tall. Walk the hands in so there's enough resistance that when you pull the band back, you can finish at the elbows, or the elbows can finish at the sides. See? So I'm not like really loose and coming way back here. So just adjust the tension so you feel like you're working to pull the shoulder blades together, and you can finish the elbows at the sides with that nice tall posture. Working on 12 of these. Feel free to vary the width of the elbows. So once you have the tension, you can take a repetition wide and then bring your elbows back closer to your body. Here you go, Shirley, like a little wider. Just see how that feels. Stay out of the neck. Vary it up. Okay, so here we go. Let's go back to hip cars, one circle each way on each side, and then we'll repeat this set before we come to standing. Okay, so we go through getting the back neutral. Find that movement map of your hip, circling the knee around, 25% kind of tension. Could you stop if you had to up here? You're not just using momentum for a big circle. Good. Reset the head and neck, shoulders, switching sides. From here, we'll go to the back for the bridges. You've got the option to do the double bridge as we did the first time with the band. And if you'd like to try single leg, you could go ahead and go into a single leg bridge position now. About 6 per side or 12 doubles. If you're on the single leg, just align the posture. Try to bring the hips up nice and level, activating that one side, and then come back down. After your bridges, we go back to the planking. Okay, time under tension, TUT. This is something that we modify based on how it feels, your breath cycles intuitively. And when you get to a point where you can't hold your plank, your back feels like it's dropping, you feel some tension through your neck, your time under tension is over. So everybody's building their strength and their connections at a different pace. So just listen to those signs and vary the hand and foot position. Nice, gals. And then just go through 3 repetitions. And back to our long seated row. Getting yourself nice and tall in the posture. Check the tension. Good. And then go through 12 repetitions. You can vary those elbows out and towards your sides a few times. Or if this feels best, then just keep pulling back. Go. a great way to do it. Just always thinking about slightly different angles. Okay, so I'm going to come up to standing now. We'll roll the feet. Today, we'll just roll the feet for about 30 seconds aside. If you find any real tension or things that you want to spend longer on, feel free to do that. If you're watching this tape, you could always put the tape on pause. I'm using the roller to just help stabilize myself, so I don't use this as a balance exercise. That's coming. I'm doing a little scan of the area on each side of my foot through the middle, the outside edge, in and around the heel. Don't feel too bad. Working down towards my toes, gently pressing the spaces between my toes. So I'm just sort of moving the ball down towards my baby toe. You can gently curl and open all of your toes. Just gentle curl. And if you have that, any of those pressure points, again, you can just put a little bit of light pressure on there. No need to give yourself a bruise. Switching sides. Going through a little check again around the heel. Inside edge, middle. Doesn't feel too bad today. How about you? Sometimes just based on how much you've been walking, the shoes you've been wearing, pressing in between the toe joints, moving through that section, and then a little bit of time gently opening and closing the toes. Okay. So when I do balance exercises, I like to work with a firmer mat, hardwood floor. The squishy mats do make it a little harder. We're going to do some balance reaches, so taking some time to set up your foot. You can connect your foot to the floor, trying to hold your foot stable, take a breath in, and we're going to do 3 reaches. Trying to keep the hips and shoulders square to the floor as you reach. Come back up to standing. 3 reaches per side. Lots of cues with single leg balance. If you need to reach to a piece of furniture to help give you that feedback, it's a-okay. Probably a good idea in the beginning. Move the heel to the wall behind you, fully extending the knee. The hands can be facing each other, thumbs to the roof. You can get your hands a little higher without getting into your neck. Neck is nice and neutral. Then try that. Breathing can really help you with single leg balance. Breathing in as you reach. It stabilizes your pelvis with a little bit of that intra-abdominal pressure. Exhaling as you come back up. This is just practice. So wherever you're at with your balance today, it's a reflection of many things in your nervous system. So remember, it's just practice. Let's try some body weight squats and a couple of body weight curtsy lunges before we take the option of loading this up. So here's my body weight squat. I've got my feet hip width or wider, toes can be straighter turned out. You can change the footprint, literally, of what you squat with. The most important thing is that it feels okay. Hips, knees, ankles on the depth that you choose to lower yourself to. Okay, nice and even. I like to breathe in as I pull myself down, exhale as I come up. So we've primed those joints. Now the curtsy lunge we've got coming up, take one leg in behind, drop the back knee a little or a lot. Try a couple on each side. In this program, this is a complex move with an overhead press, so we will check that out right after you've done your warm-up curtsies. A-okay. Now if we're having any pain or discomfort with the body weight, just keep it body weight. Don't feel like you have to load. But here we go with loading. So 6 curtsy lunge, load side of shoulder. So I'm going to take the weight to the right hand, and I'm going to do that one loaded curtsy. And then make sure this is a weight that you can comfortably press overhead. Bring it back down to your shoulder, and we'll do 6 of those. If for some reason you didn't want to press, you could just hold the weight at the shoulder and go through the loaded curtsy lunge. Beautiful. Looks great. Modify the rep ranges that I give based on your body and what you picked up weight-wise. Switching sides. Keep your body square to the wall in front of you. Cross over, get control of your balance. Drop the back knee a little or a lot. Come back up to posture. Press. Good. Finish off your reps. I'm going to go with squatting next. This is 6 repetitions. You have the option of keeping the load. Find your footprint. We're going to slow it down on a 3 stop, 2 stop, 1 stop, and come back up. So loading up, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Up to 6. Have you guys figured out that I might not be the best counter some days? I always tell people to do it intuitively, and then it's like, am I doing it intuitively? Calf raises with the ball between the heels. Have a little balance support close by, maybe go to a piece of furniture. If you haven't done a lot of calf raises with the ball between the heels, you might need this balance support. But after a while, you can have your feet straight, the ball's right back at the heels. Once you have your posture aligned, gently squeeze the ball as you lift the heels and try to control back down. Now, if you want to add breath to this and you're going slow enough, you could try to exhale as you lift the heels. Inhale, exhale, lift. It helps to recoil the pelvic floor, come back down. As soon as I start thinking about all my toes, it can also throw off my balance, but it's a good thing to try and come up and get a little bend in all of your toes, not just your great toe, but all of them, and then control down. 6 to 10 of these should be good. We're going to add in a lateral raise for the shoulders. With the lateral raise, if you don't have some lighter weights, meaning 2, 3, 5 pounds, if you've done a lot of these, you could certainly go heavier. But in the beginning, you just want something that's on the lighter side to start priming your shoulders. The elbows are bent at 90 degrees, feet are side by side, and I'm just sort of winging my elbows out to a height that feels comfortable to 90 degrees. Rep ranges can be up to 10, 12 of these moves. Another thing to watch for as you're working shoulders in a standing position is that you haven't hyperextended your legs in posture. Okay, so you want to have that little bend, soft lock in your knees, posture's floating over your feet. Okay. Some external rotation options could be that you bring your arms out and in, and then maybe up and out. And depending on the weights, if this doesn't feel good, you would put the weights down and go with body weight, up to 10 of these. So remember, new way of thinking is that we don't just want to load the muscles in one angle or one trajectory. As soon as you start feeling this through your neck, you're kind of like, reps are done. Your time under tension is done. I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together, feeling pretty good about all of that. Okay. So today We're going to go from here to a lateral step and then work on some biceps and triceps. I want to make sure we get one of every exercise in. So lateral step, I spent a fair bit of time in the warm-up today. So if we get through one set of all the weights for sure, you can just rewind the tape and do a second set as you repeat it later in the week. Don't get hung up on one set or not. You've done really good work. Here's another option for the lateral step. I'm not tapping my foot down. I'm trying to balance. Okay, a little harder yet would be to take it into a bit of a leap or a bound and kind of bend the knee and try and catch yourself. So adding that little bit of momentum is going to make it more dynamic, make it harder. We'll go for 15 more seconds. Excellent. Okay, now finding some weights that we can work the bicep curls with and actually into an overhead press. So I'm demonstrating with 5-pound weights. First off, bicep curls. Here's your standard. I've got my palms facing my thighs, and then I bring my palms up to my shoulders, maybe rotate them in. Here's another option. Palms stay straight, facing inward. Here's a third option. Bring them across the chest a little. How about out a little? Right? Can you see how we can change everything that's going on through the bicep, through the elbow? Now, when the weights are in your wheelhouse, meaning they're not really that challenging, it's easy to do that. As the weights get heavier, we might want to close the angles and not be so creative. Second, let's go with some overhead presses. All the way back down, palms in, rotating palms out. Now for my programming, my strength, 5 pounds is quite doable to go a little wider. But if you're new to this and this feels heavy, you might want to stick fairly close to going straight up from your shoulders, right? But getting some adaptation for me at 5 pounds might mean that I have to go a little wider. And as long as you don't put yourself in a vulnerable position, again, this would be a good idea. Lastly, let's go with the tricep extension. So a slight hip hinge, extending the wrists back. You feel that work through the back side of the arms, between the shoulders and the elbows. I've been playing with this one with widths, but you definitely can go a little wider. So both arms a little further away from your hips, and then bring them in a little closer. One thing that's cool about training with weights that you can handle easily is that you can hold the end range for a moment. So as I kick the weights back, I have really good control in my end range. And that's a very healthy thing for you to do to get stronger and put on some red stuff, some muscle. Okay, so think about that. Some days feeling a little like going with the lighter weights, and some days could be a little heavier. Okay, so from here, I'm going to take us back through one set of our curtsy lunges. And so I'm going to grab my weight that I can press overhead. Second round through, I'm actually going to go up a dumbbell size. Weight in the right hand, step back, nice clean curtsy lunge, and then that shoulder press up to 6 per side. Weight right, move right. Excellent. Everybody's in a different place on that strength training journey. I mean, we all want to get stronger. I've often said I've never met anybody who doesn't want to get stronger. But Dr. Spina made the point is, are you as strong as you need to be? What are your goals? You know, I think that's a good point, because my goals are longevity, healthy aging, staying injury-free, being able to do other things outside of training in my home. that I can handle without getting injured or tired, too sore. But some people have sports specific. They're playing tennis or pickleball or golf. They're hiking, right? Dancing. So think about that and make sure that when you come to a class like this to grow your strength, you have the right weights, you have the right idea in mind of what you're doing this for. If you don't have the weights available to you that are one notch up from where you are, then you don't have the ability to go into that adaptation zone. Okay, if we're always using really light weights, then we're kind of just retraining the zone that we've been in. So the principle behind what I was explaining earlier is to create the workspace in the hips, shoulders, etc., and then give it some good load. So if you're using load, if that makes sense, that you've been using for a long time, it's time to go shopping and just grab yourself a little bit higher weights, even if it's just 1 or 2 pounds on little petite women, you know, new to training. This can be significant. Thank you so much for joining me today to grow your strength. It's great to be back, minus the technical glitches. Have a wonderful day, everyone.